Well, my name's Mark Maxwell, everybody. I run a business with my brother, Tony Maxwell, and we have approximately 4 other photographers working with us full-time as well. The main type of business we do is PR photography, and I've just given you a sampler on the flyer there, and this is just a PR section of sample images from our website for clients to view, and then it just gives a general overview of the type of work we do. Our target market is generally national media. That's where we're pitching most of our images on a daily basis, and we've a cross section of clients from corporates to what I'd call light PR consumer stuff. So you're seeing a mix mostly of the sort of consumer PR, the type of stuff there at the moment. They're mini Jedwards. So the name of the game we try to get is we try and get a different angle on shoots. Like, it's very easy to go to a job and get the standard shot. We always try and get something slightly different. Humour we try to convey a lot in the shots. That's down in the pub where Obama was visiting there. I went down. Try and get a bit of movement, a bit of life, something that's a bit quirky. At the moment now in the media business, on any given day, if you speak to a picture editor, he or she could be inundated with maybe 100, 150 pictures for the next day's paper. In real terms, the likelihood is they might use 8 to 10 max. So the odds of you getting a picture published are probably 1 in 10. Now, they increase greatly if you have, say, a current top model. That's going to bring you up the food chain, or if you have a VIP or a celebrity. Like, I just was photographing John Hume this morning, and he's of interest north and south because of the peace process and so forth. So I'm hoping that maybe something will land from that. But the challenge is to go in a job where you don't have famous people, you don't have models, you don't have any other ingredients bar your own imagination. And for you to go and say, well, look, I'm going to try this or try that. And that's a massive flag there that we did. That's an engineering competition. Like, you'll see a general theme running through those shots there, that they're all slightly, shall we say, different. A lot of young people in them. The photographers that we have, they've been with us approximately 10 years each, and they know the drill now, and they go on jobs to get something that's slightly different. My advice to you is, if you're pursuing photography as a hobby, that's great. Shoot what you enjoy and what you get a buzz from. If you intend to shoot photography professionally, I would suggest that you start building up a database, whether in hard copy form by cutting out cuttings out of a newspaper, but start to get familiar with photographs, see pictures that you like. In general, if I get a brief from a client, the first thing they'll do is they'll ring me up and say, we're doing a launch of this. That's Sex and the City type shot, that one there with the girls. They'll give me a concept and they'll ask me to come back with ideas. And that's the challenge. That was done in the Phoenix Park about 3 weeks ago, and there was a gale force wind there. You've got to come up with at least 2 or 3 ideas for clients, and that can be tough. So you have to be constantly thinking. And the other thing I'd say to you is that not all ideas work out. You'll only, by trial and error, that's the only way you'll discover what works and what doesn't work. It's taken as a given when you go on a job as a professional photographer that you know how to operate your equipment automatically. The last thing, and I've been on jobs with guys who are professional photographers and they'll be messing around with a flash, or they can't get their camera to work, or that's not professional. You've got to know how to work your camera back to front, inside out, with your eyes closed, because what you're really concentrating on there is getting a good image, and you can't concentrate on getting a good image if you're worried about the technical side of it. So it goes without saying, you need to know your equipment inside out. We bring a lot of our own props too, like a simple little thing like those teeth there, for example. They're things you get in a dentist, like to promote toothpaste. Used in the right way, they can work well. Or how many of you here intend pursuing it as a full-time profession or as part of your professional career, whether it be in PR, marketing, communications? I mean, what's the mix? How many are amateurs and enjoy it? right? And who's going to be using this full time, or where photography is going to come into their career? Well, just 2, 3, 4. So about 6. Would you be people who'd be specialising more or less in the future marketing and media stuff, is it?
Well, it'd be photojournalism.
Photojournalism. So it would sit hand in glove with your editorial side of your, yeah. And where do you guys, I mean, this is very much, it wouldn't be photojournalism, and I've done photojournalism, I do photojournalism. This is more the commercial side, the PR type stuff. But, you know, the photojournalism side is, in my opinion, it's a totally different discipline. You know, and the two do cross over sometimes, but I mean, the style of pictures are totally different. That's the thing we were asked to do. There was a charity event on early in the morning, and they said, look, we want to try and get some publicity for this charity. It was a car drive, so that's Miriam there. We got her in a car, and worked well, that picture. It was tough to take because it was taken at 8 o'clock in the morning. There was no light. It's a nice bright colour shot. It works. It's a fairly straightforward, simple prop using in large letters. That's the minister there on the left-hand side, and it's a pretty boring building to shoot. That's at there on O'Connell Street, just next to the Gresham Hotel. It's a concrete structure. There's not a lot to it, so that got us out of a bit of a jam, that shot with the letters. Flick on to the next one there. That's what I'm talking about, is stereotypical, what I call a tabloid PR photo shoot. You'll see it every day of the week in the Mirror, the Star, the Sun, normally without the suits, as we call them in the business. That's a launch of a new travel website, encouraging people to go to sun destinations. That's what we would call more of a business shot, because we've the 2 directors there with the models. Conversely, we'd have another separate shot with the models in, and that landed in a couple of tabloid papers, and that's what that is. That's, we saw it earlier on, that's a photo shoot we did for a company called, it's a beauty company. They were promoting their new academic year for beauty consultants and makeup and so forth, and they liked the idea of the American Beauty. They wanted to do a shot with a model covered in leaves. The model was great because it was colder than it is today, and it was a picture. We just didn't arrive and the leaves were there. I had to get down with 2 or 3 other people and scoop up all the leaves and put around her. And the problem was we were up against wind there as well, and that's probably of about 60 shots, I think there was about 3 that were just bang on, and that's a shot that's been used several times, and it works. Now I know it's a direct copy of that iconic image, I think, with the rose petals, but I just think the autumnal colours there work very well, and they provide a nice contrast with the skin tones. That's a typical, shall we say, you're going to a conference. That's Crow Park, which I personally hate shooting in because it's the same image all the time, but that's about people who do sort of allotments and market gardening and that type of thing. So what we did was we said, look, will you bring a load of the stuff that they grow and bring it along? And that's just a straightforward shot, taken very early in the morning. It's you can see it's dark skies. It's just a shot that illustrates the theme of the conference or the meeting. If we hadn't got that, it'd be 3 people holding a brochure, and that sort of stuff just doesn't land, you know. What else is on there? Now, that's, I don't know what the background to that shot was, but I know it did very well, that picture. It was used in about 3 or 4 papers. It's just got all the ingredients. It's a pleasant face. It's got a fusion of colour there. It's well taken because it's backlit. There's plenty of light coming through. And it just is one of those pictures, no matter what it's for. If it was advertising a new range of baked beans, the chances are you get that published because it's colour. It's got everything in it, you know. Flick on there. That's PR picture to, and does it, Brenda Donoghue, I think, from RTE is doing a thing where she's going to sit in one of these, if she hasn't already done it, one of these cubicles on the wheel. She's going to spend 24 hours up there, and it's for a charity, and they did a photo call trying to get a bit of publicity drummed up. It's down at the Point Depot. So they just have a model there, and the whole idea is it's taken in such a way, it's those sort of trick pictures where people are leaning against the Eiffel Tower, and the whole idea is she's rotating the wheel. And as I say, that did well, that picture. That's a follow on from it. That's Brenda up in the cubicle. Now, I thankfully, when I went on that shoot, I said to the client, what have you got lined up? And they said, well, what do you mean? I said, what's the picture going to be of Brenda? Well, she's going to be sitting in one of these cubicles. And I said, well, you're going to need a prop. So what I did was, when I was running out the door, my mother had bought that thing there. It's a cup and saucer, but it's actually a plant holder to grow plants in. So I swiped that on her, and I arrived down on the shoot, and there's 2 other photographers there. We all shot it, and they got about 4 or 5 pictures in the paper. But I think if we hadn't had the cup, it just wouldn't have worked, the shot. Just, there was nothing colourful, you know, it's the polka dot cover and whatever. But that just goes to show you how something, I think it costs a tenner, that can mean the difference of getting a picture in the paper or not getting it in the paper, you know.
When you were saying the other photographers, were they your photographers as well?
No.
So did you let them use
Yes.
the prop? Why would
Because
you do
I'm employed by a PR, and they don't care whether Lucifer comes with a pitchfork. If he takes a picture and gets it in the paper, that's what they want. They want pictures in the paper. I see myself sometimes in the role of a ringmaster. I go along, bring the props, get the show on the road. If 10 photographers turn up, I'm happy. I do get annoyed if I'm doing something and it's my idea, my concept, and I have a guy shooting over my shoulder, and it's happened me a few times. So what I will actually do is, if you're trying to do something different, you wait until everybody else has had their shots, and then you move in at the end and say, finished, great, and then you move in. That's a thing that's taken down in Shelton Abbey. I think that's the open prison down in Wicklow. A load of the prisoners were rearing cattle to go to Africa. It's Boher is the name of the charity. Now, when we were going down that, we thought it would be a great idea if you had fellas working in the background, maybe feeding them, but we had issues with it. They were paranoid about getting prisoners' faces shown. There was 2 angles. They didn't want the prisoners shown, and then they didn't want relatives of the people or the victims of crime seeing the guy that mugged them 2 months ago, and he's out having the life of Riley there, feeding cows. And so that was a bit of a frustrating shoot. It could have been great, but we were just bound by what we had to work with, you know. That's, I think that, as I say, I didn't take this shot myself. That's a marketing shot. It's taken from looking at the stuff there. I think that's the Gibson Hotel. They have a load of these coloured chairs sitting on the roof. Straightforward shot of 2 guys. It looks like a marketing or morning briefing breakfast. That picture landed in 2 places. It got the front page of the Irish Independent Business section, and it landed somewhere else. Simple picture. It's just out of colour in the background, colour in the foreground. It's just it works. Do you know what I mean? So that's that one. So that's as far as I think that's the engineers. That's your stereotypical. There's a presentation on it, half tree. The winner's holding the plaque. It just beats the normal 3 and 3 bottles on a wall where you just snap away. The emphasis is on the winner there with the trophy, and the head honcho, the institute or whatever, is talking with somebody else. It's just a different way of shooting a job, and it's yeah. You can flick on there. That's Fergal Quinn. Likewise, again, that's where you go to a hotel, a boring room. You say, look, I want to try and get something different. Can you come outside for a minute? Most of the times, people actually don't mind going out.